So now let's look into linking containers for port isolation. How to open up your containers to the host network by exposing ports. You won't always want to expose your services to the host machine or the outside world, but you will want to connect containers to one another. That's very much required when you're running a very big applications. So in this case, our problem statement is to allow communication between containers for internal purposes, and I'm going to use a Docker linking functionality to solve that issue. So to make that communication possible between two containers, I'm going to use Docker's linking functionality to allow containers to communicate with each other. And here what we're going to do is, this is our host machine. So in this host machine, so this is my MySQL container, and so MySQL container will be connected with the WordPress. So whatever you write as a blocks inside the WordPress, that will be stored in your MySQL database. So let's demonstrate the same. So let's run our containers in the following order. So we will start with MySQL. Okay. So we'll get into our Docker host or Docker server, and we will run our MySQL. Okay, every time same issue. EC2 management console, edit inbound rules, custom. Whenever we lose network, my IP, save rules. Yeah, rules have been saved. Now let us do that. Yeah, sudo I clear screen docker images. So docker psa, there are a lot of, yeah, one container and two images are there. Let me remove all this. Docker stop. Okay, it's an exit state. So rm wizardly gates and docker rmi, and it is cube MySQL cube WordPress. So now let's cross check. Docker images, yes, it's gone. It's cleaned up, it's wiped off completely. So now let's run our first container directly. So docker run, name I'm gonna give as database MySQL DB, and option E, and environmental variable MySQL root password. I will give passwd as a password, and option D, and MySQL, sorry, image name would be cube charan MySQL version 1. Okay, let me execute this. Unable to find image locally, so that's what I was saying in that. So docker daemon will look for image locally. If it doesn't find locally, then only it will go for repository or registry, the either private registry or public registry. Okay, so docker ps You see, our container MySQL DB is up and running. So let me do Docker images, and you see that kubechurn MySQL version 1. So first we have given the MySQL container. So and the name of the container that we gave is MySQL database. So that we need to copy that name, so that we can refer that name later. So I will copy this, and sorry, okay, it's been copied. Yeah. So then you also must apply an environment variable so that MySQL container can initialize a database. So when you give option E, it says the next thing that's coming in that command is an environment variable. Okay, so environment variable, we gave a SQL root password, that's a super user root password. Then you run both containers as a daemons, that's a detached one, and use the Docker Hub reference for the official image from my Docker Hub repository. So now let's run our second container, that's WordPress container, and that will be exposed to the port 80. And then let's do that. I'll put font symbol. Yeah. Now WordPress Docker run option name WP app. Then it's time to put a link option. Then I want to link the MySQL DB with the database of WP app and map with MySQL of WP app. So I'll just give MySQL. Then I will put option P for the port mapping. Sorry, option P for the port mapping 10003, map with 80. Then finally detached mode and give the name of image. So it is kubechurn WordPress version 1, and let us execute it. So unable to find image locally, so the Docker daemon looks for image locally. If it doesn't find, then it will go and it will find that image in the respective repositories. So done. You can see that it's been pulled and it's been run. Now the containers of WordPress is also running. So now let me do Docker ps, and you see MySQL database as well as WordPress app both are running, and this is 1000 10,000 yeah, 10,003 mapped with port 80. We are going to access that, and let me check the Docker images also. You see two images are there, and our container is up and running. So let me take let me copy this 1003 port. Then let me get into the browser. Before I get into the browser, let me take the public IP of that and paste it here. And what is that? 1000, no, 10003. Yes, yeah, 10003. That's it. You see that? Your WordPress is up and running. Whichever language you would like to take, you can take. So I would look for Kannada or Telugu, Tamil. Yeah, Kannada is here, and Telugu would be somewhere else. So ಮುಂದುವರಿಸು Malayalam. See, ma la ya la Malayalam. Let me click on Malayalam. Taikara, Taikarak, Taikarak, Kodarak, Kodarak. This is Kodarak. Konasaginchu. Kodarak. Konasaginchu. This is also Kodara. Koduram. Koduram. I think it is Singali. I think Singali. That's Singali. Okay. After that, we'll take only English. Yeah. Yeah. We have to provide the database name, database username, database password, database host, and then table prefix which you want. So then your WordPress will be up and running. So here you have to provide all those details, and once you give it, so it will be up and running. So anyway, we will be doing this project again using mm, Docker Compose. So that time we will open that, but for now this is enough to prove this point. Yeah. So in the second command we have run it, then we have linked this database container with the WordPress container using the link option. Then that reference to a MySQL server within the WordPress container. So whenever WordPress calls, then it goes to the MySQL database and then it will respond to that. And through HTTP request, and port number 1003 is the one which we have mapped this container with. So when I give public IP of this host machine with the port ID, so that means I am calling this host machine with the specific port. It's like, take this example. See, you have your office. Inside the office, you will have a main telephone. Outside the at reception you will have the main telephone. So when you type some extension to that, then it will be reached to the marketing team, VP, XVP, assistant, and brand team, and communication team, design team. So all the teams each will have a port. So here the main number is your host machine, your host machine's public IP, whereas port number is the extension of your telephone number. You just take that analogy, then it would be much easier. So when I use the host machine public IP and port number, then automatically it will go to that port. And which one is running at this port? WordPress container is running. Okay, WordPress container is, so this port is mapped with port 80 of WordPress container. So then automatically it will directly go to the port 80. At port 80, what is running? Our WordPress application is running inside the container. Then from here, if you click anything, if you write a blog, if you want to save it, or if you are asking for a blog, all this WordPress will call the MySQL database and it will respond with the required data. So I just want to uh, uh, I just want to repeat it one more time. So your host machine public IP, and when you call this host machine public IP with this port ID, with this port number, so at this port number this WordPress container is running. So at this port number, this WordPress at this port number is mapped with the port number 80 of the WordPress container. So that's the reason when you call up this, it automatically goes to the port 80, and at this port 80 the application is running. So obviously we can access that, similar to the phone analogy. When you call the main number, then at main number some receptionist will be sitting, so that when you tell him that I want to connect with this guy with this extension, then when you tell them that extension, he will call to that extension. Okay, let's take that analogy exactly. So here the receptionist is sitting at this one. So I have called up with the main number, then I told I want to connect with port 80, then that guy will call port 80 guy. So then automatically here our application will be ready, so that I can access that from outside using 1003, using 10003 and port 80. This is how we access it. Then let's wrap this up with Docker architecture and Docker registry. We have seen this, but one more time I just want to reiterate the same thing. So once you have created your images, you may want to share them with others. Obviously, that's what main purpose, because you are not alone working you are not alone living in this world, you are not alone working in this world, so you might be working in team. So this is where the concept of the Docker registry comes in. The three registries that you can see in figure are a Docker hub, and then another public Docker registry and private Docker registry. So the three registries that you see on your screen, so it depends upon their accessibility. One is on a private network, one is open to a public network. So and another is public but accessible only to those registered with Docker. So they all perform the same function with the same API, and this is how the Docker daemon knows how to communicate with them interchangeably. A Docker registry allows multiple users to push and pull images from a central store using a RESTful API. So the registry code is like Docker itself, of open source. Many companies, such as example, if you take my company, Volvo, is set up our own private registries. We have our own private registries in Microsoft Azure. Okay, to store and share our proprietary images internally. So this is what we're gonna discuss in this slide before we look more closely at Docker incorporations registry, that is Docker Hub. So to set up a registry server on your local network, what we have to do? To get the registry running, issue the following command on a machine with plenty of disk space. That virtual machine should have plenty of disk space. This is one way, or else you can get into any Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud Platform or Microsoft Azure, whatever it may be. Let me show that one more time. Okay, dashboard. Let me click on ECR, Elastic Container Registry. Elastic Container Registry. So it's pretty simple. Get started. Give the name. Make it private. If you want private or public, public. Give the name M like learning. Done. And rest all fine. Click OK. That's it. Click create a repository. It will be done. Anyway, we'll be doing this in our iDevOps for use mega course module. It is 8th module. There we'll be doing this. Don't worry. We're gonna do that. Or else if you want to do that, if you want to directly, you have a virtual machine or you have a instance or on-premise machine. If you want to do inside that machine, you use a Docker CLI, Docker client, Docker run option D option P 5000 mapped with 5000, and here this is what the volume is. The volume mount is very important. Okay, then you volume mount it using environment variables. Okay, this forward slash symbol and home registry var lib registry. So this command makes the registry available on port 5000 of the Docker host and uses the registry folder in your home directory at var lib registry in the container. So which is where the registry in the container will store files by default. So it also specifies that the registry in the container will store files at forward slash registry. Then one on all of the machines that you want to access this registry, you have to add the uh, this add this host name. You have to add the following to your daemon options. You have to attach this host name and then IP address of that, so that you can other machines can access the images that are stored inside this. Other machines can pull and push the images from this registry that you have created, the private registry. And finally, how do you push it? You say simple docker push and host name, and mapped with port ID and forward slash image name and tag. That's it. This is very important. Huh? So if it is in Docker Hub, you have to use the repository name. That's why everywhere for all image I put kubecharan, kubecharan, kubecharan. If it is a private repository inside a virtual machine, then you have to put the host name mapped with the port, because that's where your registry can be accessed. Okay. So now let's look into the Docker Hub, the public repository which is available and it can be accessed by everybody. Okay, the Docker Hub is a registry maintained by Docker Incorporation. It has tens of thousands of images on it ready to download and run. So any Docker user can set up a free account, and public Docker images are there and you can download it. In addition to user supplied images, there are official images maintained for reference purposes. So can be your images basically which are inside the Docker Hub uh, are protected by user authentication, and there is a starring system for popularity similar to GitHub's. So these official images can be representations of Linux distributions like Ubuntu or CentOS, or pre-installed software packages like Node.js, or whole software stacks like WordPress. WordPress is whole software stack that we have seen just now. So Docker registries enable social coding culture similar to GitHub. If you are interested in trying out a new software application or looking for a new one that serves a particular purpose, then Docker images can be an easy way to experiment without interfering with your host machine. So provisioning a VM or having to worry about installation steps. So then you can run it interactively using T option and I flags. The T flag creates a TTY device. When you mention a T option, see, it creates a TTY device, the terminal device for you, and the I flag specifies that this Docker session is interactive. So example, let's do one demonstration for that. First, let's see this. How do you pull it? We have been pulling it, but still I just want to show it. So Docker and pull image name. That's it. So the first line that shows is pull the image named node from the Docker Hub. That's what the first action. So the last step, once the pull has been completed, you can see the status, that is downloaded newer image for you, the image name and then tag. So this message, the last, you will find a message that tells you if Docker has pulled a new image. Your output may be different, depends upon the image type. Clear. Sudo I, and let's check Docker images. So we have only, okay, we have two images, that's MySQL and WordPress. So now I'm gonna pull, let me get into the my repository inside the Docker Hub. So where is that? This is, yeah, here it is. So click on repositories, this is mine. Yeah, so I have few images, Docker, MySQL, WordPress, scheduler. I'm gonna pull scheduler now, because this is also public. It doesn't make much difference whether it is my create whether it is the images that I have created or an official images, it doesn't matter. So the process remains same. I'll just copy the docker. I'll just copy the tag name so that after that it will be easy. See all, click on see all, and you'll find the, okay. So I'll do hash at the pond and paste it. Yes, now write. Let's pull image from Docker Hub, a public repository or public registry. So Docker pull and name of the image cube churn scheduler and version 1. So it will start pulling that. You can see that version 1, the first one, name of the image, pulling from cube churn scheduler. Then last you can see the status, downloaded newer image for cube churn scheduler version 1, and it's been placed in docker.io cube churn scheduler 1. Done. So now let's do the same. Okay, first let us check ls, sorry, clear the screen. Docker images first. You see that scheduler, we can run this interactively. We have pulled the image. Now it's time to run that interactively. Docker run option it, and image name is cube churn and scheduler version 1 and bin bash. You see that now we are, of course there is an error, but still it can't find bin bash in this. So if you use, we'll use the same one then. Docker run option it node bin bash. So it's pulling the image and then it will run it interactively. We're gonna see that. So that's it. Downloaded image, downloaded newer image for node and tag latest, and let's run. Okay, we are inside that. You see that we are inside. It's not a same. We are root, and this is the container id 27. You see that this is container id. We are inside the terminal. So this is how we use it interactive and bin bash to enter inside the terminal of the container. So that's what we have said here, process version, and once you enter inside that you can give some commands. Let us give some commands. That is process dot version. Okay, this is not there. Process dot version. That's okay. Your ultimately we want to prove we are inside. Okay, let me give more commands. Pwd. This is root directory. Let me say ls. You see all the directories you can find inside that. Then you have time, uptime, date. You can do whatever you want once you enter inside the terminal.